Today, I'm going to stick a GoPro in the wheel well of the Tacoma to see if I have any rub with the new lift. Well, good morning everybody and welcome back to the channel. Hey, that's right. Today, I'm going to stick a GoPro right down here in the front and in the back to see if I have any rub or to see how close the front tire comes to the wheel well, you know, the fender well there, to see if I have any rub with this new lift. You know, before, on the one I had until I replaced it recently, I would rub on the front just a little bit when I cranked the wheel to the right. And now it looks like it might be a little bit closer to the back. I'm not quite sure. So I thought it'd be interesting to stick a GoPro down there. Hopefully I don't destroy it. We'll find out. And see if indeed I do have any kind of a rub now with the new setup I have on my Tacoma. Have a look. All right, sit back, relax, get a nice cool beverage, and spend a few minutes checking out how the new setup is, or at least how the tires are performing with the new lift that I have on the truck. And we're starting off with a turn. You can see on the right there, at least on my right, this would be the rear. It comes fairly close. Now, it didn't hit. The front seemed to look pretty darn good. There's another turn there. You can see, and the camera angle makes it, I think, a little bit closer than it really is. But still, as compared to the front, you can see that big gap there in the front, and that's on a left-hand turn. Not too bad. Now, it was hitting right up there in the corner. You can see that blue area. That's the bumper fascia, of course. And when it turned before, about an inch to the right towards the inside of the fender well is where I actually dremeled it down, and it actually came out pretty good. I'm impressed looking at it in this video. I haven't seen it from this angle myself, and it looks pretty good. But anyway, in that area, that's where we had the rubbing, and you can see right on the corner to the right there, that kind of smudged area. That's where the heating of it kind of changed the surface a little bit. It almost kind of started to boil when I did it, but as we continue on, there's a right-hand turn. You can see we're pretty good distance away, probably even further than we are in the rear and the right, on the right rather, when we take a turn that affects the rear. There's an outward turn, obviously no big problems there. Plenty of space. And it's interesting, I did get more room by putting on this lift, by raising the truck up an extra, I guess, inch, half inch, whatever it is, I don't recall. I actually did gain more space there in the front. Now, I don't know if it's going to stay that way. I mean, the truck probably is going to settle a little bit in the front, and I'm also considering another mod. Look at the distance there. That's on an outward turn, but pretty good distance. And then here we had a turn on the right towards the inside. I'm sorry, towards the outside, and you can see there's no real problem there. It's when we make, I guess it would be a turn to the left, I think, is where we start to get a little closer. But anyway, there's a little bit of a turn. I do have plans to put a heavier bumper on the front. This would be a steel bumper. Weight on it somewhere between probably 90 and 100 and, I don't know, 20 pounds, something like that. So I am going to pull the front down a little bit further, which I think is probably going to pull that corner there, or that inner fender area, a bit closer to the tire on those right turns. I still don't think it's going to be enough to bring the tire so close that I'm going to have any issue. And to be honest, in looking at this, and there's a great shot right there, you can see, at least going straight, the distances, and that's a little bit of a turn there on the right, but when it straightens back out, the distances between the rear of the tire in the fender well as compared to the front of the tire in the fender well, and it is greater. There's an outward turn again, obviously no troubles there. It's only when we turn to the right, or what I'll call inward as far as the front of the tire goes. Looks like we've stopped on the right there for a minute. The video, as you may tell, is not exactly synced. Oh, I had stuff on the lens. There, I'm wiping off the lens. I actually pulled off to wipe off the lens for you guys. So that's why you saw that cloth going across the front of the camera there. So in a minute, we're going to go ahead and continue there as well. There you go. And now we've stopped on the left, and I think that's probably when well, no, it wouldn't be when I was trying to wipe off the lens because the camera's on the front now, obviously. So we're continuing on, and in a few minutes we're gonna get back to an area where there are a lot more turns. Now that's about the closest it gets on the left, right there. What you saw, that's about as close as it gets on a turn with the front of the tire. There's the rear, and look how close that is. That's a little concerning to me right there, that angle. If you look on the left of the screen, you can see we are pretty close in there. I mean, it almost looks like those little nubs that stick off the tire, you know, the ones from manufacturing. Not the tread itself, but the little almost hair-like pieces that stick off. Like those might actually slap that piece. I don't know. You can't really tell with that much detail in the video, I guess, but comes pretty close. And I think a lot of the time when there's trouble in the rear, it generally is on the right side. Right there is where you would have more trouble than on the back. And I think that's probably because the turns aren't typically so severe that you're turned way into the inside of the footwell, more so on the outside edge that you saw right there. But I think a lot of times people will trim that little area there, the little part that sticks out. You can see it sticking out kind of in the middle where it's tied down to the inner part of the fender, I guess. That's where people typically have issue in trim. There's another good view on the front side. You can see we have plenty of space right there. Not bad at all. I'm pretty darn happy with that. Again, I think more concerning to me as the rear gets closer there is the back side of the tire up against the footwell or the fender well there. That's really more the concern. Now, I will say the tires that are on the truck right now, they're 285/70 R17s. I think I mentioned that again in the end of the video, but if you're wondering, 285/70 R17s on a 17-inch wheel. And they are Duratrax. And it's about a 32, I think it's 32.8 inches, somewhere in there, as far as the height goes. So obviously, if you were trying to run a stock setup without a lift and put a 33-inch, or in this case, if you want to be specific, a 32.8-inch tire on the truck, you're going to have a bit of a problem, I think. It is going to rub, and it's going to rub both front and back. At least I think now with this setup, you're not going to have any issue with the tire rubbing anything. So in a second, we're going to be back to the driveway where we're going to have a little bit more severe turns, I guess, as I try to maneuver into my my garage. I think here we're going to be driving on actually some stones here in a minute through a subdivision, which is going to give us some more or sharper turns rather too. So that's going to be coming here real quick. Right about in here, I think we're entering a subdivision. And you're going to get to see, yeah, it is. It's coming right after here. So you're going to get to see some sharper or more severe turning anyway as we drive through the subdivision. There's a turn there you can see. That's as close as it gets. No issues in the rear, although there we had just a little bit. And in a second, we're going to be entering another area where we're going to have more turns. It's going to be a driveway area. And you should see probably the most severe turns that we'll have throughout this trip. And a little bit of a bump too as we go up a fairly steep incline. So that'll give us an idea. It'll be on a right-hand turn. You'll see the tire on the left turn right. And that will kind of illustrate a little bit how the tire or how close the tire gets to that front fender well. That should be coming up here pretty darn shortly. And probably might be right about here. or in just a second. And that is going to be the severest turn that we took on this trip, I guess, with a bump included, a pretty good bump. The tire, the image that you're seeing on the right now is actually at the driveway, so that's me maneuvering to get in the garage. There we just went back over the asphalt down there, and that's as close as we get right there. And that's where I actually had seen it rub once in the front. So as the front part of the video, or the left part of the video, catches up with the right, you'll see how close we get actually pulling up the driveway. And it is a fairly steep incline with a dip at the bottom right here. This is where we're going to be. You should see the change. Yeah, there's the change in pavement, I guess, on the right. But this is where we get as close as we're going to get. So that's just a quick look, I guess, at how it's performing. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't really see any major issues, so I think my rubbing problem has been solved. Okay, that's it. That's our little test with the GoPro down there in the wheel well. Let's go up here and take a real quick look at it resting. As you guys can see there, it's close in spots, I guess. You know, down here in the front actually doesn't look really that bad. Kind of looks closer here in the back now to the edge here, but I don't think there's going to be any issue with it. I mean, if I was out doing some really, really heavy duty off-roading or something and was going down into deep, you know, ruts and things like that, yeah, maybe there could be a problem, but I don't think there's going to be any issue just normal city driving and stuff like that. So we'll see. Time will tell going forward. But anyway, just kind of want to get on here, bring you guys with me, let you see what it's like. Again, in case you're looking, these are 285. Let me make sure I get it right here. 285/70 R17 tires on a 3, or in my case now, a 3.5 inch lift in the front. So you can see how they fit. Definitely wouldn't put them on without a lift. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've had any surprises. You've lifted your truck, put bigger wheels and tires, or bigger tires on, and had any lifting problems. Also, if you haven't before and you're interested, check out my other channel. It's all about my Jeep Gladiator. It's called RobMotive, right up there. And don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.